Hi there, welcome to a follow-up update video in the Noah Presgrove case in regard to the one that I did last night. Michael Faizkaz has provided a different point of view now to reinforce his original mention and statement of Laura Dutton being responsible, despite what Laura has said herself. I'm just going to present to you the screenshot today so you can see who originally supposedly created it, and then we can go from there and further analyse, because this particular small-scale event is a microcosm of a bigger problem overall within the case community, and for others that may not see it, and more so some that complain about it in terms of my coverage, well, ignorant minds, and I've seen a few, and then you wonder why problems are the way they are and why they continue on. Well, we're going to be looping around today because I also need to tie in with some previous comments, and then on the sideline to continue discussions in the case overall, I'll be looking at a few points mentioned by Justin Roy to see what he knows of, what he said in recent time, and if I can respond back, answer any questions, or give any of my insight on what I think opinion-based and whatnot. It's like a little collection-based video. We just do what we can, keep the discussions going as a live Premier chat format. For those watching live, you can always engage in the chat on the right-hand side and talk about other stuff about the case and whatnot. And if you want to share some additional thoughts, if you got any questions, you're watching this video on catch up, just drop a comment down below under the video. It'll help with spreading awareness. More people will see. I can respond back as well when there's time. And if you do want to catch up on recent coverage, if you missed out on any important videos, don't worry, you'll be able to find them. Top right corner screen where the I symbol is, click up there, drop down box with the full playlist as well, which I created, and the loose videos too. And if anyone wants to support this channel in the most practical, efficient and anonymous way, if you go down below to the comment section, pinned message, there will be a PayPal link to do with me, my channel. Big shout out to those who have done so in recent time in the background, and of course those on YouTube with super chats, super stickers, and even membership too. All very positive to see. The reason why I'm doing the video that I'm doing now is because we need to tie up loose ends, and if I'm going to provide a perspective, I might as well provide the full perspective. If it doesn't come all in one go, it is what it is, but there's always room, there is always time for a follow-up video, and that's what's done. It's that other humans in this case and community and out there in life and beyond and in the past may only provide one side and then don't bother providing the other perspective. And that's problematic, but it's what separates me from most. And as well, just the attitudes of some people changing, seeing people's true colours more now than ever before. Very interesting. And we'll get to that later because I've got a couple of words to say in response. And to be honest, if any additional cretins or the odd people proves complain, you've caused this, okay? And what this does and the theme of it all is just perfect in how it all links together with how I envision it and the state it's in and has been. It all makes sense in here, but it might not for other people. I'll try and explain it a little bit more later. Right now, let me show you the latest photo. As you see on screen, this is it. Now, in terms of where it's been provided, Michael Faizkaz did reach out, and whether he took the screenshot or not, this appears to be in a comment thread, which may have been added afterwards. Take in mind, when I did my video, it was at a time of when it probably wasn't available. Nevertheless, it says on here, Laura Dutton suggested chat was approved by Michael Faizkaz. Share and discuss anything with the group, named at the time Stevie Howard, at the very start, because it only says 3 members, and yet what we saw previously, there was like 40 members or so. It was like really early stage of when it was created. So by suggesting a chat, that basically interpreted as creating the chat, Laura Dutton supposedly responsible. But Michael Faizkaz, who sees what it's named as, the name of the chat, approves of it. So Michael still approved of the chat. It's just that he didn't create it. But you still get the breakdown in communication here, because Michael says, I didn't create it. Well, this screenshot would prove, from the looks of it, Michael didn't create it, so he's telling the truth there. Laura Dutton did. I just fixed the incorrect spelling of a name. I didn't know what the purpose of the chat was. So because you didn't know what the purpose of the chat was, you still approved of it. Now, what would I say? Just as an observation that if it was something more sinister or dark and you approved of it, bad things could have happened. So maybe there needs to be a level of caution in the future just to protect yourself, so then it doesn't give other people in the wrong hands ammunition to weaponize against you, as a suggestion. But besides that, other people, nor did anyone but who was invited. And then I deleted it. So, to be honest, it probably should have been deleted immediately. But nevertheless, Laura Dutton here said, not sure, but I didn't do it. I'm not responsible. I will ask him. I had no reason to do so. And then down below it says, oh, thank goodness, it's all cleared up. Is it really cleared up though? Because still, there's a disconnect between people on the same page. Michael says, I didn't do it. Laura created it. And there's supposedly the proof that Laura did it. And then yet Laura is saying, I didn't do it. I have no reason to do so. So a person must be telling the truth. Another individual must be lying, right? Unless there's a bit of a disconnect in which another person created the chat, Laura Dutton suggested it to Michael, then Michael approved of it. So there could be a third individual. Nevertheless, it's still a little messy and odd. The key word to take from that is dysfunction and breakdown in communication. And whilst this is just a small scale event, it would have happened countless times in the past and probably in the future as well. By highlighting an example like this, which is somewhat problematic on a smaller scale, then you can apply it and upscale it to a bigger issue at hand, which is currently going on or which could happen in the future. If adjustments can be made in between, maybe stuff can be fixed, fine-tuned or adjusted, simply like how it's been demonstrated, not at all times, but sometimes where you've had opposing people all together at once and have been able to communicate, been key discussions, not too many attacks at times, and it's been reasonable. And that was all natural, different environment, different community, different page, style, format, YouTube, live premiere, besides the typical Facebook. So it can be under control at times. Other times people don't have it under control. Other times people don't change. And that's why the overall problem still remains. And whilst I could go on a bit further about that and reinforce how important it really is, we probably should look at it from the perspective of some alternative people that don't think the best of me or my channel at this moment in time, and possibly the odd familiar face, if I'm correct in remembering their username, as to who they really are and their alternative name possibly on Reddit. Let's head on over. Let's see what some have had to say about me. I'll defend myself and I'll respond back accordingly. The first comment is by Dark Darling. And if I'm correct in saying, I'm sure this person is also known as Excellent Spite or something like that on Reddit, who's the admin or moderator, the originator of one of the Noah Presgrove original pages on Reddit, the same place which has been known in recent time for silencing WarLike Wrath and removing posts because they're deemed not good enough or not good for discussion. But at the same time, when I reached out in the past saying, is it okay if I post this or that? Maybe it's not a good idea. I don't want to cause any trouble. And what did they say? What did Excellent Spite say? Oh, it's perfectly fine. No, we want you. We want you to post. We'll create your own little tag, own little flair category section so you can post whatever you want. It's important, it's welcome. Lead me into a false sense of security. That's typical of the human race at times. So it's really coming up into my mind and memory in regard to like other humans I've come across in the past. Just very interesting. But let's just read what's on screen first of all. Dark Darling says, did you really just make a 2-hour video about absolutely nothing? You only had access to the front page of the chat and used 1 hour to speculate on what the chat could say, why it was deleted. Wow, that's really searching for justice for Noah. And you used the final hour to talk gibberish, Wrath. No one is actually watching you. They're just here for the chat room. This chat consisted of 20 people saying hi to each other over and over, then saying random things and then attacking Caden. Maybe 10 chats were actually about your video. So this is a really interesting attitude change by supposedly excellent Spite. And I say supposedly because I still want to be careful. It's just, I'm definitely sure I remember seeing this name and it being linked with them on Reddit, because there was a time in the past and I said, is that you? Is that your name? And I'm sure they said, yes, it is. Even if it wasn't the same exact individual, the attitude is very similar. The sudden change in behavior is very similar. Because in the past, I've come across this person on my channel and they didn't say anything negative back then, but they've suddenly switched it up now. And why would there be a reason to do it just now? Oh, because of issues going on elsewhere with Reddit, even though I've kept to myself ever since. I stick with my channel. I don't really bother on Reddit as much in some places, right? But now there's a problem. And there will be at least one other witness present watching right now who's on Reddit or one of the Reddit pages, the main one. He'll be familiar with certain named individuals. Just feel free to take notes if you want. You know, I'm not going to mention the name. I know who the person is, but I'm not going to mention the person's name because they don't deserve anything. They're good people. But just make notes, observe the changes in human behavior, the attitudes and everything else in between, because you start to see people's true sides, their true darkness within. It's okay talking about the dark side in the casing community, but the real dark side is the way humans can suddenly turn up and change out of nowhere. And the equivalent of the Exorcist, I exorcise the demons in people's minds, reveal it, bring it to the surface level. So not only do I witness and be on the receiving end of it most of the time, but witnesses about and general public can see it too. And then you know what to do in the future and how to act and react with similar people down the line. But I am going to look at on screen word for word because, you know, I want to keep it as accurate as possible. And I do need to make some counterpoints as well. And there is a response which we probably should get to first of all. One thing to acknowledge, 8 people have liked this comment. 8 cowardly humans that couldn't be bothered to show their face or leave comments themselves, scuttling in the background like a covent, which is very typical. And then, of course, we got this person called Hey Hello, and they say, this is exactly why it's hard to watch WarLike Wrath. And be careful, this guy, in capital letters, hates criticism. He cannot take it whatsoever. And yeah, he rambles on and on about unnecessary crap. I need a new person on this case. Well, you've always got the choice to walk away. No one's forced to watch my videos, but still people seem to be stuck in a cycle of watching, consuming content and then complaining and not actually contributing much on the channel. People that tend to be negative tend to be freeloaders on my channel, and they don't even contribute much as for discussion either. And as a prime example, this person, you look back to their comment history. Yeah, they've got a cat as their profile picture. The cat itself looks rough around the edges, like it got out of bed backwards. Maybe the individual did as well, hence their attitude and personality. And previous comment, I think WarLike Wrath is secretly your left toenail. What a really odd comment for Hey Hello to say, you know, the way this channel is rambling on about a load of crap. You've literally said that WarLike Wrath is secretly your left toenail, which is a very odd, unusual, pointless comment. So you're in no position whatsoever to be telling me or making observations when you're completely a hypocrite, and it's a little pathetic. But obviously, lower down in a past video of mine, so this individual keeps coming back, they can't help themselves, and they say, videos are way too long. Well, they might be too long for you and your degenerative low attention retention span, but for other people, it's quite okay. The animal noises were just way too unnecessary. Stick to the case and the case only, please. Oh, sorry, so I need to take orders from you. A YouTube channel that joined 6 years ago, no subscribers and zero contribution to the case in that format. Yeah, I definitely need to take lessons there. And of course, got to listen to what this person says because, you know, whilst my coverage at the moment is pointless and it's rambling on and much more, that their comments in the past talking about a toenail, oh yeah, that's really relevant and better, is it? No. Hypocritical, in no position to be talking, and zero experience as well. But this individual, and with what they say here as well, it's a very, very default line which other humans have used over time. This guy, WarLike Wrath, does not like criticism. There is a difference between constructive criticism and then just pointless comments made by humans with zero experience, where they're in no position to be talking. See, the reality is, hey, hello, and goodbye, because that's where you will be going, hopefully, is that with time, there's been a handful of content creators that have come to my channel who are more experienced, who have got more videos on their channel, a bigger following, and they've had nothing but positive things to say about me and my coverage and quality. At the end of the day, who would I listen to more? Some random viewers that have no experience, that spout a lot of complaints and criticisms, like this person too, or would I listen to established YouTube channels that are successful? If successful established YouTube channels mention nothing but positives in terms of what I'm doing, that's a sign, that's a big positive. And as examples, exploring abandoned mines and unusual places, that YouTube channel called Frank, who I believe has over 400,000 subscribers, here and there is a bit of a regular viewer on my channel, and, you know, communicating in the post community tab section, mentioning positives about Kenny Veach case and whatnot. Over 42 million total channel views, and, you know, much more established, been around a lot longer, they're doing well, and then they say positives to me. That's really good. Then you've got Stephanie Harlow, over 1 million subscribers, who reached out to me on one of the previous videos on the Noah Presgrove case, saying you're doing really good, really interesting, doing the research on her. So a massive established channel there reached out to me. Then even in a way more third party, you've got Beauty Gurumo. You know, whilst yes, it's light-hearted in chat and they are down to earth in a positive way, Beauty Gurumo, a very established individual, a social media makeup beauty influencer on Instagram with over 50,000 followers, and on TikTok with 1.3 or 1.4 million followers, and growing steadily and well on YouTube. They've been actively participating in the chat. They felt comfortable, it's felt positive, they've been able to open up, reach out and explain stuff and mention positives about my channel. And as well, you've had bedtime crime stories, over 40,000 subscribers and counting that have reached out to my channel, commented, left positive stuff. So you kind of get the idea of the flow that all the positives mentioned about my channel, my style, my coverage is by big established creators out there in true crime, mysteries, and further afar. They know what they're doing, they do well themselves. Then they mention positives about me. Well, that I must be doing something right and should listen to them and acknowledge and appreciate it. And then we get dead-end channels with zero content that are saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. It's really self-explanatory who I should be listening to at the end of the day. So I just continue on and keep on doing what I feel that needs to be done, and it works at the end of the day. Along the way, those that don't like, complain or hate, well, you've always got the choice to walk away. But to be honest, humans can form a bit of an obsession with me, keep coming back on their hands and knees because they've got nowhere else to go. It's unfortunate, kind of like a homeless situation, but digitally speaking. So as much as they may hate it, they keep coming back, keep complaining, keep consuming and being a statistic on my channel. So it is where it is. And, you know, if this person, for example, wants to find a new person, but you've always got the odd other YouTube channel out there that does coverage on the case. The IQ may drop, but, you know, it happens. In regards to Dark Darling, I do need to break it down bit by bit. So if this is truly excellent spy or another individual, they say, did you really just make a 2-hour video about nothing? Well, only an ignorant, impetuous, egocentric human would think like that because, first of all, my video was not 2 hours long. It was 1 hour, 47 minutes long. So there is a difference. Get it right before you start speaking or typing, because if you can't get the correct time and length of my video, did you actually watch it properly in the first place? Or were you like one of those individuals on Reddit that says, please, could I have a 2-minute summary of a 2-hour-long video because I just don't have time? Could I have a 60-second summary of everything because I'm entitled? Is that Sam? Interesting. To say that my video was about absolutely nothing, what? So besides looking at the Facebook chat messenger thing, when I've started talking about the issues in the community, the importance behind it and the breakdown in communication, and on top catching up on comments from a previous video, which I've been known to do in the past, and that wasn't deemed as a problem back then. It was deemed as valuable and positive. Oh, now it means nothing. So Dark Darling has had a bit of an issue with me previously, or it just came in out of nowhere. That's previous agenda being forced onto their outlook and perspective now. So really there is a biasness going on there and petty behaviour. And by the day, we're seeing more petty individuals like Petty Pam. Now we've got Petty Darling. That's a shame. What else do we have? You only had access to the front page of the chat and used 1 hour to speculate on what the chat could say and why it was deleted. Well, I had a couple of screenshots to work with, and at the end of the day, one can only work with limited material when the actual chat itself was not around for that long. You get what I'm saying? It wasn't around for that long, so there wouldn't have been much documented or much activity. And furthermore, this video that I'm doing today is actually providing it from a different perspective of what Michael Faeskaz had to say recently. So that's why an update is being done now when there is additional material to do so. You should know that by now, but clearly you don't do your research there, so that's a failure on yourself. To say about speculating, well, making more so observations of what's going on, right? And so was many other people, the majority. And what else? And say why it was deleted. Michael said he deleted it, and deleted, it's deleted. What more can you do? What more can you ask? Then you say, doing all that, that's really searching for justice for Noah. Well, if this is who I think it is, oh, you think it's justice for Noah by taking down Reddit posts and videos of mine, even if at the time or in the past it was welcomed, me led into a false sense of security, and then I'm attacked afterwards. How incompetent is that? Not looking too good, is it? And you used the final hour to talk gibberish. Well, the final hour I did not use to talk gibberish because the video wasn't 2 hours in the first place. So get it right. And it was actually under an hour when I was talking about other stuff. And it wasn't gibberish, it was light-hearted to cut through the darkness, a bit of positivity, because I predicted that the chat would get tense. People may need a distraction. People day-to-day, life-based, who knows what goes on in the background in people's lives. A little lightheartedness here could help as a distraction, if not more. and basically you're saying it's pointless and a load of rubbish. So when humans say stuff like this and want it taken out of my videos, that my videos in the past have actually saved some people's lives or helped people in the moment, you want that taken away. You could say that's a death of an individual on your hands, indirectly speaking. If that's what you want, there you go, that's on you. No one is actually watching WarLike Wrath's videos. Well, at the end of the day, a view means someone has watched your video. In terms of their eye contact, in terms of their mindset, they might not directly be watching the video, but they could still be listening in. Kind of like Beauty Gurumo and some others that might be doing house chores, or some people like Member, maybe driving somewhere, and they're just listening in like a podcast. You don't have to visually watch with your eyes at all times. You can just use your ears and other senses. So once again, Dark Darling, a bit of an impetuous point mentioned by you, because you don't know statistically who's watching and who isn't. You're not behind my channel. You don't have access to it. I can't remember exactly how many people were watching last night. Was it like 40, 50, 60 people? As for the chat, people can multitask as well. And what other people tend to do is rewatch the video afterwards and watch it properly. But clearly, you've got a very tunnel vision, obtuse mindset at this moment in time set in your ways because you got pettiness with me previously on other unrelated stuff, which, you know, is a bit embarrassing, to be honest with you. They're just here for the chat room. Does that sound? That the chat was pointless because it was just loads of people saying hi. Oh yeah, so Dark Darling's mentality is you're not allowed to say hi to one another because that's distracting us from the case of Noah Presgrove. Everybody must act robotic. Everybody must focus in on the case. You're not allowed to breathe. You're not allowed to say hi. You're not allowed to ask anyone if they're doing okay or not. That, oh, next time I come across, Strawberry, Sharon, key individual, I just put duct tape over my mouth. I can't respond back to them. I can't wave. I can't do anything. How embarrassing with what's going on here. And the mention of Caden being attacked, depends how you interpret it there. Maybe 10 chats were actually about your video. No, there was more than 10, but clearly you got it set in your ways with your mindset. Now, we can get to that later. Whilst we're here, I might as well look at some of the comments by Justin Roy. Yes, we're looking at some comments by the light side and references made about the case. So anyone else want to talk or, share their thoughts, reactions to what's on screen can do so. I just want to read it, try and interpret it, and then can refer back to some previous points. Justin, why would Caden Pressey and another party goer that I won't mention lie about Noah wanting a ride home? We also heard he texted and called others. His phone records should be able to prove or disprove that. Well, good. That's great. But do we have his phone records? We don't. Would those in Caden be willing to show it publicly? Absolutely and likely not. But you can't expect the general public to just, be okay with that and, just trust their word for it, because sometimes it's just not good enough. There's got to be a bit of give and take and leniency, but not everybody shows that. Justin says, I have only just heard of Noah calling Victor. I asked Victor and he said it wasn't true. Not even sure where that started from. But Caden Pressey and another partygoer did say Noah was looking for a ride home, and another friend said Noah didn't plan on staying that long. I think all of us here wished Noah did go home that night. Not sure why certain people think this is an aha moment. It's not. I firmly believe it's true. If it was told from the beginning, we wouldn't be there. 95% of everyone still thinks foul play. Wonder why. 95% of everyone in this entire case, geographically speaking, believes it's foul play. I think that is a very, very inaccurate and, not to be rude, but impetuous statistic statement given. 95% could think it's foul play in regard to a particular Facebook page. Okay, and I might have seen the odd screenshot of that, fair enough. But you can't apply that to the whole population in this world that believe it's 95, it's foul play. That really is, problem. But let's start from the top. Is there anything else I need to refer to? Why would Caden Pressey and another party goer lie about Noah wanting a ride home? Well, this is the thing, Justin. I don't know if you watched my video in full, but what I suggested, because I displayed a level of balance other humans cannot do so, is that it might be true. It should be true. Caden Pressey saw or heard what he saw or heard. But at some point, maybe Noah gave up on the idea of wanting a ride home because he was okay with where he was. There we go. You can have a bit of both. You can say Caden Pressey is true to an extent, but it's also true that at a point in time, Noah didn't want to go home. He was happy, content with where he was. And that the act of leaving, walking away from the party house, that was just like a normal occurrence, as Caden had said in the past. In the past, Noah normally walks away. Oh, does that mean he's sick and tired and he wants to go home? No. He just goes away to cool off, then returns back to the house. Why would it be any different this time round? The only difference is something happened which caused him not to be able to return back, but likely he would have intended on coming back, probably. There's that. And with references, if you got Georgia Breeley and Breeley's older sisters also coming on down, and no mention or awareness of Noah wanted a ride, but they said on Facebook, well, if we knew, we would have given him a ride back home. But there was no reaching out. Noah didn't reach out himself at the time, and Noah, I think, still would have been at the party at that point, around 2 onwards. So it shows what, breakdown in communication, or just that at that point then, Noah, whilst Georgia may have already left, possibly depending what timeline you look at, as for Noah Presgrove, he just didn't want a ride back home then because he was okay where he was. So it's possible at one point to consider wanting to go home, and then after, you change your mind. So you can kind of include both in a way. You don't have to directly mean that Caden is lying. If you was to interpret it that he was lying, how would one benefit then? Why would they? Why would they lie? What would be the point of that? But it's the same with those in the community that lie or create a rumour that Noah tried reaching out to his father, calling for a ride home. And Victor says, it's a lie, it's not true. And Justin says, I asked Victor and he said it wasn't true. Well, there we go. Justin Roy reaches out to Victor and Victor says it's just not true. And then you've got Tim Daniel or Brooke Bounds Carter from the dark side that reach out as well, or somebody else does. Denise Arnold reaches out from the dark side, and Victor says the same thing and then passes it on to the general public. So the light side and the dark side get the same results in terms of what Victor is getting at. So it doesn't matter if you're on the light side or the dark side. There is consistency. Why can't people acknowledge it? All people can do is complain, and not bother and not be asked to find common ground. And you wonder why things are in chaos and it keeps going round and round like an endless, vicious cycle. It's a good thing that I'm here. Kind of ironic how one of the darkest, most negative individuals about ends up being the most positive person. How embarrassing is that? But that's my reality, both here and anywhere else. That aside, what else do we have? Not sure where it started from. Well, to my knowledge, it started a while ago and it's come up here and there over time. Now, what I said in my video was for Victor to say, it's not true. Noah never reached out. Noah never called about wanting a lift home. It's a certain element that it doesn't completely remove the possibility of Noah wanting to go home, but it takes it away just a little bit. It reduces the chances of Noah wanting to go home. If Noah really wanted to go home and people turned him down at the party, then Noah could have reached out to a family member if he really wanted to go home. But if he didn't reach out to any family members, and Robin Smith mentions the same thing, then by then maybe Noah was just content with staying at the house. It is what it is. I'm fine now. I'll make the most of it. You know, opinions, thoughts, feelings can change even at the party for Noah as well. That needs to be acknowledged. You get the best of both. You get the combination and reasoning ability. So, Caden Pressey, another partygoer, did say Noah was looking for a ride home. Caden and another partygoer, but that other partygoer hasn't publicly come out or said so. And as I've said, Caden Pressey, whilst he puts himself out there, other people don't. And if other people did, that could probably go a long way. But because it's not happened, what are you supposed to think, right? Anyway, let's just try and move on and just see what else has been mentioned by Justin. Caden Pressey and another partygoer also said Noah wanted to go home. Victor did confirm Noah never called him. Not sure where that started. Also, Noah's phone records show if he called or texted anybody for a ride home. Should show, not it does show, but it should do. So not a great level of confidence there. There was the possibility of it not being the case. But it's the thing. It's okay saying, well, that person's true because that's what they saw, what they witnessed. It's hearsay though, because we've got to listen to them through their words, not through living it through their experience at the time. But with hard evidence, you could. And I think that's a separate discussion, to be honest, to talk about some other time. But yeah, phone records came out, and yeah, if other partygoers spoke up and were consistent with Caden Pressey as vocal Caden was, then it could help out a long way, but it just hasn't happened yet. What else? Just in timestamp of my video at the time, you can find a comment as where the title of the video is there. None of these other kids will say anything because they exactly know how Caden Pressey is being attacked by a certain group of. Sure wish we could hear everyone else Ellie interview. Hopefully very soon it will be public record. I can't wait to hear how certain people acted like they didn't know Noah. Definitely something of lies going on for a reason. Well, this is the thing. There might be people like Carter Combs and others that act like they didn't know Noah, but that they actually did know Noah. But then why are we being so one-sided here? What about Caden Pressey that said he knew of the girls from the party because he hung out with them in the past, long old-time friends, meeting in car parks and drinking years ago and being introduced to one another, being best friends with Jack Newton, then Jack Newton introducing him to Noah Presgrove, like a triangular friendship. Oh, but then Caden Pressey in one of the other interviews, I think it might have been the Part 2 Partners in True Crime, Never Seen, released public interview, where Caden said, coming down to this house, it was the first time I met those girls. What? It's the first time Caden had met Carter, Avery and Logan. But then in the Part 1 public interview, Caden had said he knows of those girls from the past. Either you know them or it's the first time you're meeting them. Just like with Carter Combs, where you either know who Noah Presgrove is or you don't. Or not really. Why is it so difficult? But why are some people only focusing in on one side, not both? Yeah, this is very dysfunctional. But the reference by Justin about, there'll be other people that could speak out and it would be valuable, but they can't. They're in fear of being attacked, similar to how Caden Pressey has been. Well, that's really the case. That's unfortunate. But you can look at it from the other perspective, that if you get certain members of the light side that keep calling out, criticising, pushing a bit too much, pushing too far, you end up pushing people away, burn bridges down, then less chances of material evidence, hard evidence coming along the way. It's both sides. It is a mess. Justin told Timmy. Right, so Justin is calling Tim Daniel here. That came from Jack Newton, not Zachary Wright. But of course you didn't listen. You probably should have asked about the rest of that message. No, he didn't think Noah fell out of the back of a truck and you all just ran with it. No way would that cause all of Noah's injuries, lack of blood unseen as well. Right, so I don't want to be rude, but what Justin is getting at here, to an extent, is true. That people just ran with it based off what Jack said and interpreted it as that's what Zachary said. But at least from my point of view and what I presented in my video, there was no proof or evidence of Zachary Wright stating Noah had fallen out or randomly fallen out of a vehicle and died that way, even if it's just an opinion. Jack may have said it, and Jack may have said Zachary told him that's the possibility as a thought, from Zachary's mindset, but we didn't see it directly from the horse's mouth. But some people from the dark side interpreted it as, well, what Jack says, what Jack's been told, must be what Zachary Wright had said. But we've not seen it from the horse's mouth of Zachary Wright saying it. We've only seen it from what Jack has said, passing on a message, but not seeing the original. Does that make sense? Robin Smith also mentioned that she's been in contact with Zachary Wright, and Zachary did not mention about, the cause of death, did not acknowledge or even consider falling out of a vehicle and dying. That's what Robin Smith had said. So people may have jumped the gun there. But, and I don't mean to sound rude, but for Justin to be saying, I told you so, and, you need to do better, and, running with it and jumping the gun, I've got to be balanced, okay? Hopefully people understand, but there might have been times where Justin has done the same exact thing, jumping ahead slightly, interpreting it as something else when it's not quite. Kind of like how people may be a bit skeptical of Alicia Lee or Caden Pressey, and then Justin basically jumps ahead and interprets it as, oh, well, if you're skeptical, then it must mean that you think that Alicia and Caden are responsible for Noah's death. And it's like, whoa, we never said that. Don't be putting words in, jumping ahead there. So what this demonstrates, whilst this time round maybe the dark side slipped up, so now Justin can tell him off. There's been times in the past where the light side have slipped up and the dark side have told them off. No direct names in particular, but you can see from both sides, both can mess up at times, and in between as well. Very interesting. Avery Combs and Shaden. Who's Shaden? Is that Shane D, the blonde girl with the pink top on Saturday? Knew the Texas boys. And Boo is still dating a Texas boy. Is Boo, however you say the name, Combs, like a younger sister, the youngest sister, maybe. Is that it of the comments there? It is. So being honest, if I had an unlimited mental capacity to remember every little detail and every word and quote by people, I could spend hours upon hours reiterating observations of hypocrisy, two-faced behaviour, double standards, so much contradictory stuff and much, much, much more. Wow. Very interesting from both sides over time. So another thing what I find interesting, the video that I did last night, at the time, Michael Kaz said, oh, is this like breaking news? Not exactly. It was just documenting what's going on with time. And, it could be from a side which a person does not like or want because it might be on them. But once again, it's got to be balanced. Do that full circle. You might not like it on yourself. I'm supposed to exclusively make you immune, but focus on everybody else. So then there's a biasness towards only one person. So when a person doesn't like what you do, there's a chance it's because you're displaying full balance. And when you do it in an unbiased way, then you're deemed as a villain. We've seen that. It's very silly, isn't it? That's what a couple of people from the light side have said about me. It's just a bit odd. And that whilst people have a go at the dark side for their attitudes and behaviour and nastiness, the dark side, to a more full extent, seem to actually appreciate more the balance that I display, as in the balance where I still defend the light side. The dark side actually appreciate that more collectively than the light side. So it clearly shows how corrupted the light side is and truly how fragmented it's become with time. So along the way, I've made observations with some of these problems. And if people take notes, it could help down the line. And if others don't take notes, then you're probably just going to be stuck in the same cycle. Just like the Dylan Rounds case and the community there, people are still stuck in that cycle 5-6 years on. Just goes to show, doesn't it? So, well, about 4 years on, let's just put it that way, be fair there. So it just says a lot. And to be honest, the video that I did yesterday, whilst Michael Kaz thought it wasn't that newsworthy, it wasn't that important or relevant to the case, it's just not needed, there's no interest or worth in it, it's just not that important. Oh, but it's important enough to provide the additional context. hence why this video was made. So there seems to be a time and place where people in their minds then deem it as important in their own mindset, which could make it a little bit biased. You know, at the start, I just think, well, it's important, it needs to be done. And I think what some people fail to understand is, if there is truly hard breaking news, that will be prioritized, that will come first, but there just hasn't been. And yeah, so there seems to be a bit of a casual and minimizing, dismissive attitude, what I'm seeing nowadays by people more so from the light side of that, because you don't think it's important then, or because you don't think it's much worth in the case, then it just shouldn't be covered, as I'm supposed to take orders from people as well. See, what I have done is highlighted the dysfunction and the breakdown in communication from certain areas, groups, and sides. I'm not painting them in a dark way. They've done it to themselves, right? And whilst highlighting the problems, adjustments can be made, but people aren't doing it. And that's why it keeps going round and round, and it's problematic. It could get worse with time. See, once again, in between, here and there, smaller videos, bits and bobs can be ticked off the list and covered and observed, may need to be used in the future, archived, and anything else in between. I've got extensive experience when it comes to the importance of trying to archive stuff, because it has come in handy in the future when making a reference, when needing a form of proof, and more. You got the likes of Michael and then Laura. Michael says Laura did it, Laura says I didn't do it, but then there is a screenshot supposedly which suggests she did. I think there could be a possibility of a misunderstanding, that there could be a third person somewhat responsible. Somebody else may have created it, Laura may have suggested or shared it as a prompt, and Michael approved it and then decided it wasn't worth keeping and then removed it. See, sometimes I go the extra mile where I've got to do somebody else's job, which is a bit pathetic, to be honest, when they can't do it themselves, as in the reasoning ability aspect. But, you know, it's embarrassing the way some humans are behaving, and even more pathetic how some are switching and turning up. But as said, if people want to call me other names and stuff and add labels and titles to me, you might as well call me WarLike Wrath. I am the exorcist when it comes to revealing the dark side in people. It's been proven over and over again. But with that being said, we might as well leave it there for now, and I'll see what needs to be covered next. Who knows what happens, what comes around the corner. If you want to share the video, that'd be appreciated. You want to hit the thumbs up, that'll be good. You want to catch up on recent videos, top right I symbol, click there. You want to leave your comments below or support the channel, you'll be able to find the links down below. Goodbye, and I'll see you next time.